Hey guys, today is Wednesday, October 27th, and we're 40 weeks and 5 days today. My parents left today and still no baby, so I kind of felt bad about that, but what can I do? I mean, it's not really up to me. So we're still waiting around. David's getting pretty anxious. Um, at 40 weeks, babies are supposed to measure around 7.5 pounds, about the size of a small pumpkin, and measure about 20 inches in length. I was reading online and it said 95% of women don't deliver on their due date, and 5% actually extend past 3 weeks, past their due date by 3 weeks. My doctor won't let me go past a week and a half, so she'll let me go as far as 41.5 weeks, which will be about next week around this time. So one more week. At 41 weeks, baby's supposed to weigh about 8 pounds, and usually they're born with drier skin and a little bit overweight, which I kind of find funny because they say 8 pounds is overweight. And yesterday was our ultrasound, and the baby's estimated weight as of right now is 9 pounds 2 ounces. I can't even say that without laughing because I really don't feel that large, and everyone says I'm all belly and I'm so skinny and blah 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 blah, and I go and get the ultrasound and they say that the baby could be 9 pounds and 2 ounces, and the margin of error on that is pounds in either direction, so it could be 10 pounds and 2 ounces. Anywhere between 8 pounds and 2 ounces and 10 pounds and 2 ounces. But the ultrasound technician thought it might be between like 8.5 and 9 pounds. So that's still a lot larger than what a 41-week-old baby would weigh, and they're calling a little bit overweight 8 pounds. So I just find it funny. Last time I talked to you, I was going to the doctor's for our 40-week appointment, and it was on our due date on October 22nd, so it was last Friday. And at that appointment, I thought I might have the doctor do the stripping of the membranes, but after researching it some and finding out the risks and the fact that it's really not all that successful, I decided against it, so I didn't have to do that. We did set a tentative induction date, so we set an ultrasound for this Friday and then an induction date for yesterday, because she was on call, and she said basically that we could go in and start with really a low method of induction, start with like cervical ripening agents like gels like Cervidil, and then if I progressed, then that'd be great. If I didn't, I could always go home if I wanted to and just see what happens and let things happen naturally, or I could go further, keep going with inducing and then maybe breaking the water and doing Pitocin. But she also said I didn't have to decide right then if I wanted to do that or not. We just schedule it, and then I could call anytime before and cancel it. So over the weekend, my parents arrived on Saturday, and I just had the feeling that it wasn't the right thing to do. Everything that I read said that unless it's medically necessary, you shouldn't induce, because you're more likely to have a C-section that way, because your body might not be ready and just may not respond well. Even though at that appointment she said I was about 2 centimeters dilated, still 80% of face, and she said that the cervix was very favorable for induction. Like there's a scoring system called the Bishop score, and I looked it up online, and it's a score from 0 to 13, I believe, and anything like above 6 or 7 is a good number, as far as like you have good chances of being induced successfully. And delivering. Anything like 6 or below, you'll need a lot of, higher induction methods and probably stronger doses of Pitocin or whatever to get your body to respond. So ours was an 8. So I think anything 9 or above, you're likely to go into labor on your own spontaneously at any time. So we were at an 8, and she thought that was pretty good and that my body would respond well to any induction. So we set it up for Tuesday, but then I ended up canceling it because after thinking about it over the weekend, I just kind of wanted to give my body more time because it was only 4 days past my due date that we would be inducing, which was yesterday. So I didn't think that was fair. So I canceled it, and I rescheduled ultrasound for yesterday. So it would be a little bit sooner because my parents were here, and if they couldn't see the baby in person, I figured they could at least see it at the ultrasound. And also I just was worried that the fluid was getting low, and there's the risk when you go past 40 weeks. So I rescheduled to yesterday. Let's see. So yesterday was the 26th, and we went in around 11:30, I think was my appointment for the ultrasound. During the ultrasound, the heart rate was, she took 2 heart rates and she averaged them, and the average heart rate of the baby was 131, so that was good. The movement was really good as far as when she held the ultrasound instrument still, the baby was moving, and I have been feeling the baby move. There are periods where it doesn't move, and I think that the baby is asleep during that time, because right now it has obvious sleep and wake, patterns established already. So there's sometimes where you can't really get the baby to move all that much, and then there's other times when it's kind of going crazy. So usually when I eat, it's moving a lot. As far as the rest of the ultrasound goes, they do something called a biophysical profile once you go past 40 weeks on the ultrasound, and it's a measurement of, let's see, 5 things. They're measuring the amniotic fluid index, which is the amount of fluid around the baby. They're measuring the movement, the fetal tone. I'm not exactly sure how to measure that, but the breathing movements, and then the fetal activity. They didn't really do a non-stress test or anything, so I think the fetal activity is the non-stress test. So they didn't do that, it was just the ultrasound. But the later, after looking at my sheet, she didn't really mention it, but the score is, the best score I guess is, let's see, I don't know why I thought it was 10 out of 10, yeah, perfect score would be 10 out of 10. So I guess each parameter, and there's 5 parameters, has a score of 0, 1, or 2, and then a perfect score would be 10. So I looked on our sheet, or a perfect score would be 10 out of 10. I looked after looking at the sheet that she gave me, it says 8 out of 8. So that kind of worries me a little less. She did talk about the amniotic fluid index being low, and that's the only thing she really talked about. Ours is 6.6, and I guess it's on the higher end of low. So there's not a lot of fluid left around the baby, so that means that the baby, as the fluid decreases, the baby will have a harder time trying to breathe, because that's how the baby breathes. Well, actually it gets oxygen from the placenta still, but the baby is breathing in that fluid, and if the fluid is lower during labor, the baby won't tolerate the contractions as well, because as the uterus contracts, it will squeeze the baby, and the baby won't have much cushioning, around it. Although I guess when your water breaks, it's kind of like you've lost a lot of fluid. So I don't know if that has to do with how long they'll let you go or not.